Good morning. To continue our discussion about embedding, let me give you the topic about infinitive and gerund transformation. But first, let us define what are infinitive and gerund information transformation. Gerunds and infinitives are sometimes referred to as verb complements. They may function as subject or object in a sentence. An infinitive is a verb form that acts as other part of speech in a sentence. It is formed with to plus base form of the verb. For example, to buy and to work. Infinitives can be used as the following. Sometimes infinitives used as a subject at the beginning of a sentence. For example, to travel around the world requires a lot of time and money. Here the words travel is the verb, or the form of the verb is to plus the base form of the verb, which is an infinitive, works as a subject at the beginning of a sentence. And the second one is sometimes infinitives used as an object following the verb. For example, Jim always forgets to eat. The infinitives to it follows the verb forgets, and that's why it is used or it functions as an object of the sentence. Another instances are infinitives used as an adverb modifying a verb. For example, you promised to buy me a diamond ring. What is the verb here? Promised. And to buy is an adverb that modifies the verb promised. You promised to buy me a diamond ring. And the next example is infinitive can work as an adjective modifying a noun. Example, Tara has the ability to succeed. To succeed is an infinitive phrase that modifies Tara, right? Tara's ability to succeed. Then the next example, infinitives can work as verbs are directly followed by infinitive, or some verbs are directly followed by infinitive. Example, do you want to call your family now? The verb here is want, and the infinitive here, or the infinitive phrase here, is to call. Are we clear? Okay. Let us move on to gerund transformation. But first, let us define what is gerund. A gerund is a verb in its ing, or the words that ends with ing of their present participle, form that functions as a noun that names an activity rather than a person or a thing. Any action verb can be made into a gerund. For example, a verb play, by adding ing, it becomes playing. Gerund transformation, the first step is by adding ing to most verbs. As what I have said as the first example, play, we add ing, it becomes playing. Another example, cry, crying, bark, barking. We have rules here in gerund transformation. If the verb ends with y, we just have to add any consonant letter. We just have to add ing. Next is for verbs that end in e, remove the e and add ing. Example, slide. When we are going to transform it to a gerund, we have to add ing, remove the e and add ing. It will turn as sliding. Just like in ride, riding. And the next rule in gerund transformation is for verbs that end in ie, change the ie to y and add ing. For example, in the example here is die, that's which end in ie. So we're going to change that ie to y. So it will turn to dying. D-Y-I-N-G. Die and dying. Another example, tie, tying. And then, for a verb whose last syllable is written with a consonant, vowel, consonant, and is stressed, double the last letter before adding. For example, beg, which is spells as B-E-G, B consonant, E vowel, consonant, G consonant. So we're going to double the last letter, which is letter G. Beg, and then add ing. Beg it, and it will turn as begging. The second one, example, begin, beginning. However, entering last syllable is not stress. It is because enter. It is because the stress is in the first syllable, in end, enter, not on the last syllable. Here are another example of gerunds. Gerunds that can appear at the beginning of a sentence when used as a subject. Example, gerund used as a subject. Example, jogging is a hobby of mine. Jogging here is not a verb but a subject of a sentence. And it is a gerund because it ends with ing. And then another example here is, okay, let me continue my discussion. Another example of gerunds are gerunds can serve as an object after a preposition. Example, Daniel quit smoking a year ago. Here, the gerund smoking serve as an object after the preposition quit. Daniel quit smoking a year ago. Okay, we are done here in gerund and infinitive transformation, and let us move on to dangling modifiers. But first, let us define what are dangling modifiers. The word dangling refers to a hanging or swinging loosely, and modifier stands for a person or thing that modifies partial or minor changes to something. So, a dangling modifier is a modifier, either word or phrase, that modifies or which makes the meaning on a sentence to swing or incomplete. Dangling modifier is a word or phrase that is meant to modify a word somewhere else in a sentence, but it is not clear that the word is being modified. So it means that dangling modifiers gives the sentence a what we call this, it gives the reader a confused what we call this, pagkalito about the sentence, because the sentence may sound or may seem grammatically correct but it's not. For example, after reading the original study, the article remains unconvincing. In here, the article read the original study? No, it's not like that. It should be, or the possible revision of this is, after reading the original study, I found the article to still be convincing. Because of the first example here, after reading the original study, the article remains unconvincing. Because you must put who is speaking here, because it may add confusion about to the readers. For example, the article means unconvincing. The article read the original, yeah, because maybe the reader will how do we call this? Will The article may misinterpret that the article, the one who is reading the original study. Another example is this. This is the incorrect correct one. Hearing the good news, happiness was mine. Or hearing the good news, happy I was. It may sound correct, but it's not. The dangling modifier here is happiness, or the modifier of the sentence should modify the word I rather than the happy or happiness, as hearing it is done by, because hearing is done by the person I. It should be, this is the correct one. Hearing the good news, I was happy. Another thing to remember, dangling modifiers frequently occur at the beginning of a sentence but can also occur at the end. Example, the experiment was failure having not studied the lab manual carefully. It may sound correct, but the modifier here or the experiment didn't study the lab manual, 'di ba? Parang it's give confusion talaga about this sentence because the experiment didn't study the lab manual. It is the student or the researchers. The possible revision of this is the experiment was failure because they did not study the lab manual carefully. The dangling modifier here is the phrase having not studied. We should point out who are the subject here, or who are the noun being modified in this sentence. And now let us move on to incomplete and mixed instructions. Incomplete and mixed instructions are the instructions or constructions often happen when you start a sentence with one grammatical structure and then switch to another. For example, for most people who have pets live longer, happier lives. By looking at this example, this sentence seems to be going in one grammatical direction. For the first phrase, for most people who have pets live longer, or the first sentence is this, but suddenly switches to another without warning, happier lives. Is that right? No. It can be revised in the different ways. For example, incorrect one is most people who have pets live longer, happier lives. It should be for most people who have pets, life is longer and happier. So in here, it says that the instructions or the instruction or the construction of a sentence is mixed and incomplete. It may seem or it may sound right or grammatically correct at the first, but then switch to another that is not correct. Another instance of mixed construction is when the subject and the predicate, disregard the number 7 here because it is a typo, of the sentence don't make logical sense together. Example, here is the incorrect sentence. The court decided that the woman's welfare was not safe with her abusive partner. By looking at this example, we can say that this one is correct, right? But by analyzing it, the woman is who should be safe, not the welfare, right? So the sentence may be yeah, it may seem right, but it's not. So the correct instruction or the correct construction for this is the court decided that the woman was not safe with her abusive partner. The woman should be safe, not the welfare. And that's for incomplete and mixed instruction. Are we clear? Okay. And the next one or the last one is the special case. Um, in grammar or in constructing a sentence, there are special cases happens. For example, subjects joined by either or neither nor. Um, we may be confused if the subject is plural or singular because they are joined by either or neither nor. In this special case, when a sentence contains either or neither nor, the verb agrees with the closest subject. For example, neither my shoes nor my shirt has buttons. Neither my shoes, the first subject here is shoes, which is plural, and the second one here is the shirt. They are joined by the what do we call this, conjunction nor. So here will consider the most closest or the closest subject, shirt. So our verb will be singular too because shirt is singular, so our verb must be singular. So here our singular subject is shirt and our singular verb is has. Neither my shoes nor my shirt has buttons. What if we're going to shift the two subject? For example, neither my shirt nor my shoes. What will be our verb? Neither my shirt nor my shoes have buttons. Next special case is when we encounter indefinite pronouns. Each, everybody, and other similar indefinite pronouns take singular verb. Um, I know that I am not the only one who is confused about this one. Example in this case here is every human being is responsible for his action. Our indefinite pronoun here is every. So our in here it says that every indefinite pronouns it takes singular verb. So what is our verb here? Yes, our verb here is is. Every is the indefinite pronoun and our singular verb here is is. Another example here or another instance, some and none take the verb form of the object of the prepositional phrase. Example, none of her dinner was eaten. The prepositional phrase here is of her dinner, which is a singular prepositional phrase. A singular one. So our verb must be singular. Our verb here was. Is was. Is it right? Yes, it is. Next is none of her dinners were eaten. Our prepositional phrase here is of her dinners, which is plural. So our verb here should be plural. Verb were. None of her dinners were eaten. Another special case is when nouns of are misleading plural form. Words that sounds plural like athletics, economics, mathematics, and statistics are usually singular. Yeah. Kids may be confused here, but we should know this one or these nouns are singular. Mathematics is the most hated subject. Mathematics is the noun and it is a singular, so our verb must be singular. So our verb here is. These are basic instances in English grammar. Subject-verb agreement rather. Titles of works, collective nouns, and gerund phrases ending in S are also singular. For example, zoo books detail different animals every 2 weeks. This group meets in the MSC. Encountering busy signals is trouble. Here, the collective nouns are zoo books. Zoo books, even though it ends with letter S, it is a singular collective noun. Next. And that would be all. Thank you for listening.